Get this now. All it takes is one AIDS variant, a complete virus particle with its outer coat intact, and the smallest sperm is 500 times larger. That one has been played down, when in fact AIDS is a highly contagious disease that demands that a quarantine be placed on those who suffer from the disease. Rather than treat the disease as the epidemic it is, the government has concerned itself with giving AIDS carriers more rights and more exposure to the general population. There is concrete medical evidence that indicates that the virus can survive up to 7 days on a dry petri dish, and wait 10 to 15 years before causing any notable signs of illness, which means that sexual relations expose you to every sexual contact your partner has had in that period of time. A February 18, 1985 report in the British medical journal Lancet said, and I quote, "There is little ever to be transmitted through heterosexual contact or exposure to blood through insect bites." On September 9, 1985, a research team, end of quote. On September 9, 1985, a research team of researchers from the National Cancer Institute, the Laboratory of Tumor Cell Biology, and the Institute of Tropical Medicine said that, and I quote, "Human retroviruses could be transmitted by mosquitoes or within the parasites itself." In a report published in the 1981 October issue of Science, Boston hematologist Dr. Jerome Grootman and researchers with the National Institute of Health said that recovery of the AIDS virus, and I quote, "from saliva suggests that direct contact with this body fluid should be avoided." End of quote. On January 11th, neurologists made this statement, and I quote, "At this point, live AIDS virus should be isolated from blood, semen, serum, saliva. Saliva suggests that direct contact with this body fluid should be avoided." On January 11th, neurologists made this statement. At this point, live AIDS virus has been isolated from blood, semen, serum, saliva, urine, and now tears. If the virus exists in these fluids, the better part of wisdom dictates that we assume the possibility that it can also be transmitted by these routes. It seems reasonable, therefore, that AIDS victims should not donate blood or blood products, should not contribute to semen banks, should not donate tissue. Professor William Hasseltine of the Harvard Medical School, at the presentation to a university audience, said that infected by saliva is not telling you the truth. AIDS may be, in fact, transmissible by tears, saliva, bodily fluids, and mosquito bites. AIDS is an epidemic that will not be stopped. The scientists that created this deadly virus have created a virus that multiplies 100 times faster than influenza. There is 180 different AIDS viruses and 300 strains, which makes blood testing meaningless. The virus is constantly mutating, which makes it possible to develop a general vaccine that would be effective with everyone. Quite simply, AIDS is a 20th century plague, and every year the number of those affected is doubled. In the March 1987 issue of Vanity Fair, Dr. William Grace, chief of oncology at St. Vincent's Hospital in New York, is quoted as saying, quote, "I think AIDS is going to devastate the American medical system." End of quote. Besides, not being must have a measure of protection to prevent themselves from being exposed. The elite have already segregated themselves from the general population by virtue of their position. So from that aspect, there is little risk from being contaminated. In the event of medical treatment, They have access to the best medical treatment money can buy, and most likely to possess a private, untainted blood supply. Somehow, I just can't help thinking that when our goal of limits to the population have been reached, how will they end the scourge which they placed upon the earth? Just as the saying goes, that a lawyer in court doesn't ask a witness a question that he doesn't already have the answer for. The same reasoning would seem to apply here, that the Illuminati would not unleash a disease that they did not already have a cure for. After the initial publication of this book, Brother R.G. Stair, a well-known evangelist, received an anonymous letter which seemed to confirm my theory. The writer claimed to be a molecular biologist who works in the same laboratory with Dr. Robert Gallo, the co-discoverer of the AIDS virus. The writer claims that there is an AIDS vaccine that is now available, and that 500 million doses have been produced and is now available. Now the bombshell. The writer accidentally discovered that Gallo actually created the AIDS virus and found a couple letters in his office from high governmental officials which mentioned the New World Order. It is believed that Gallo and 8 other scientists have been working to modify the genetic structure of the virus so that it can be more easily transmitted. Whether the AIDS virus is the vehicle of elimination that the Club of Rome has referred to, it is undoubtedly open to speculation, even in light of all the questions raised. However, you can't deny how neatly this little piece of the puzzle fits into the entire picture of preparing the world for a one-world government.